Hi, in the previous SDXL video, I told you I would be shifting to ComfyUI. Well, I had plenty of time to play with it. This is how it looks when you load it up. And this is me after playing around. Oh wait, not the blank one, but this one. And after playing further, things get really complicated. So let me explain how to install it. Run the image through multiple samplers, including SDXL Refiner, and complicate your workflow in the simplest possible way. The installation of the ComfyUI interface is effortless. You go to this URL. The link will be in the description below. Scroll right down, and there is a direct link to download the 7-zip file. You can manually install it, but I highly recommend the direct install. It's a straightforward method unless you want to go in for an AMD GPU on Linux. The direct link will allow you to run ComfyUI on your processor or an NVIDIA GPU. So, let's go ahead and download that. After you download, you need 7-zip or WinRAR to extract the files. 7-zip is a free application, and you can use that. However, I have WinRAR installed and would use that to extract the folder. Before you extract the folder, there might be a problem with the antivirus. I am using Norton, and as soon as I extracted it, Norton falsely flagged all the exe files in the Python folder and quarantined it. So what I did was, I disabled Norton, extracted the folder, and added the entire folder as an exclusion from Norton's live scan. I already have Python and Git installed, but this download has Python embedded. I, however, still recommend you download Git, and if it does not launch, just download Python as well, and remember to tick mark Add to Path while installing Python. To launch it using CPU, click on Run CPU.bat file. And if you wanted to use your NVIDIA GPU, click on Run NVIDIA GPU.bat file. If you go into the Update folder, you can update ComfyUI by clicking on the Update ComfyUI.bat file. Then, launch it via CPU or GPU. Inside the main folder, you will find a Models folder. All your checkpoints, VAE, LoRaS, Hypernetworks, and upscale models go to these respective folders. If you are doing a fresh install, I recommend you download your models and put them in the folders before starting ComfyUI. If you are like me, who is switching from automatic 1111, then there is a way you can get all your models from that interface. In the main folder, you will find a YAML.example file. Right-click and rename this file and remove the .example text. Then right-click again and open with Notepad. Here, in the base path, put in the path to your existing Stable Diffusion folder. Keep everything else the same, and it will take all the extra models you downloaded from that folder. For the fresh install, you can download the SDXL models directly from Hugging Face. I will put the link in the description. Download the SDXL Base 1.0 and the LoRa version if you want, but I won't use any LoRaS for this tutorial. Then, go to the second link and download the Refiner model. In this tutorial, I will teach you how to run an image from SDXL to the Refiner in one go. I, however, had downloaded the model from Civit AI, and it was the VAE fixed version for my automatic 1111. Just search SDXL and then the first link with the green thumbnail. Download both VAE Fix and VAE Refiner Fix. I will use these for the tutorial as I already have them. So, to follow the tutorial, it's better to download it from here. By the way, these are the official as well. Before we start, there is one more thing you need to do, and it's essential for the tutorial. We would be downloading the ComfyUI Manager. It's a custom node and is very useful. Go to the link from the description, scroll down to point 2, and copy this line. Now, go back to the ComfyUI folder. Open Custom Nodes, right-click, and open a terminal here. The point 2 line that we copied earlier. Paste it here and hit enter. I have already installed it. But for you, after it finishes the installation, you can see a ComfyUI Manager folder. Once you are done, open one of the .bat files, and let's get to the basics of ComfyUI. Let's start with the basics before proceeding so you can understand things better. When you load up ComfyUI, this is the primary interface that you get. I would be deleting all this and creating my own workflow from scratch. That's the fundamental point of using ComfyUI. These boxes that you see are called nodes. Each node will have inputs and outputs that you connect and can create a complex workflow depending on your needs. It all starts here with the load checkpoint node. This is your basic checkpoint model. This can be a custom model from Civit AI or your official Excel model. Whatever .safetensors files you have put in the models folder will appear here, and you can choose whatever trained model you want to use as a source. The load checkpoint node has 3 outputs, which are the model, clip, and VAE. The model has to be connected to a sampler, like the K-sampler given over here. The clip connects to 2 text encode nodes, which are prompts. One will be positive, and one will be negative. These 2 nodes have only one output called conditioning, which you can connect to the positive and negative input on the K-sampler node. Now, in the K-sampler, you can see the model is connected with the checkpoint node, and the positive and negative nodes are connected with the positive and negative prompts. We need a latent image node, which would basically mean an empty latent image node, which you can see here, and in this node, we can set the base resolution. For Excel models, we will go with 1024 by 1024. What exactly is this empty latent image node? It's basically a node that can be used to create a new set of empty latent images. These latents can then be used inside, in this case, text-to-image workflow by noising and denoising them with a sampler node, which is the K-sampler in this workflow. You also have the batch size here, like how many images you want to create in one run. Before I talk about VAE in the checkpoint node, let's explain the sampler. Here, you can choose your seed. If you keep this at random, you should first copy the seed because after the image is generated, it will randomize the seed for the next image in case you like the image it generated. You can keep this at a fixed, increment, decrement, or randomize. Fixed will keep the seed fixed. Increment or decrement will increase or decrease the seed number by 1 digit and vice versa after queuing the prompt. You can set the steps and CFG scale and also choose the sampler. Now, the scheduler here is a bit different. They define the time steps for the points at which the samplers sample at. In simple English, it's like a mathematical formulation. For example, if you select Keras here, the samplers spend more time sampling smaller time steps than normal. You can experiment with these as the results vary. We want the denoise here to be as 1 because the latent image is 100% noise. From the load checkpoint, the VAE has to be connected to the VAE decode node. The latent from the K-sampler connects to the samples in the same node. Then, we have an image output that can connect to an image preview or image save node. The image save node will save the image to the output folder, and the preview image node will just let you preview it. On the extreme right, we have a queue prompt to start the workflow process. Then, we have a save option to save the workflow in a .json file. In the same way, you can load the workflow. This allows you to create multiple workflows and then load and save them. I am not getting into clip space now, as I won't use masking in this tutorial. I will cover that in future videos with other workflows. Clear will clear the board, and default will load the default layout with nodes. The manager is what we installed via the terminal in the custom nodes folder. In the manager, the first thing we need to do is install some custom nodes. You will understand why I am installing these later on in the video. You need to search and install only two custom extensions for now, which are the Nested Node Builder and the Undo-Redo node. The Nested Node Builder lets you combine multiple nodes into one. It helps with complicated workflows. ComfyUI doesn't come with an undo or redo functionality. With this extension, you can press Ctrl-Z to undo and Ctrl-Y to redo. Pretty useful stuff. Close this window and go back to the manager. In a later video, when I cover custom Civit AI models, the install missing custom nodes is very useful. When you download any workflow in JSON and load it up here, this option will search for any missing nodes from that workflow and install it. You can also directly install models from the manager instead of manually downloading them. These are the models I have installed. The models you installed here go into the models folder. However, I have configured the YAML file to load all my models from the Stable Diffusion folder. This is more useful for a fresh install rather than using the models from your automatic 1111. You can update the ComfyUI from here instead of from the folder as well. You can also fetch updates. Fetch updates tell you if there are any updates to any extensions, which are called custom nodes. If it notifies you that there is an update available for an extension, you need to go to Install Custom Nodes again and filter updates. After updating, you restart ComfyUI manually by closing and reopening the terminal. Let's close, clear this, and create everything from scratch with a basic workflow. Let me explain some shortcuts with the user interface before I proceed. It would be better to understand these beforehand as it's less confusing while I demonstrate the workflow creation. To add a node, you right-click and go on to Add It. Let's say you want to add the prompt text for the clip. There are two ways to go about it. The first way is to right-click and add a node like before. To delete a node, click on it and press the delete key. The second and easier way to add the node is to click on the clip. Then, drag the connection out. It gives you a list of all the compatible nodes for the clip output, and you simply select the clip text encode from here. Now, instead of doing this twice, there is a better method. Select the node. Then press Ctrl-C to copy the node. If you want the node to maintain the connection, don't press Ctrl-V. Instead, press Ctrl-Shift-V. If you don't want a connection, there is a better method. Press and hold Alt-K, then with the mouse, select the node and drag it to the position you want it at. You can also right-click and clone it, but I prefer the previous method. Let's say you have two nodes. Oops, I pressed Ctrl-V twice. Let me delete the third one. Now, if you want to combine these nodes, you press Shift and select both of them. Right-click and then click on Nest Selected Nodes. This will combine the nodes into one node. This is useful for prompts where you can have positive and negative prompts in one node instead of two separate nodes. To separate them again, right-click then unnest. Yeah, I know I have an OCD issue. Let me show you a simple method to collapse these. You just left-click on the circle to collapse and expand them. Let's say you want to take a node output and connect it very far off. Instead of doing a stretching exercise, what you can do is add a reroute in the middle. Then, from the reroute output, drag and add the VAE decode node. This helps in keeping things neat and clean. Now, if you want to deactivate any node without deleting it, right-click it and bypass. This is useful in many scenarios. You can right-click and bypass it again to activate it. I forgot to mention there is another shortcut. To add a node, you can also double left-click, search, and add. We can now proceed with the workflow. To start a workflow from scratch, we will first add a load checkpoint node. For the first workflow, I am not using the SDXL base model. I would be using a model called Sci Animated XL from Civit AI. I am organizing the workflow by colors and renaming the nodes. This helps to understand better what is going on with the workflow. Let's create positive and negative prompt nodes. I am adding the K-Sampler Advanced node here. I will explain later on in the video why I used Advanced. I will use a preview image node and add the save image node a bit later. Let's add a simple positive prompt and test whether the workflow works. ComfyUI shows the entire workflow process when I click Q prompt. The nodes get highlighted. Check it out. Let's try a batch of 4. I will nest the prompts into one node and add another case sampler. I am duplicating the checkpoint, the prompt, and VAE node and processing the same image via a duplicate sampler with some changes. Since the prompts and the load checkout are the same image will be processed twice. Just watch. I will explain in a bit why I am doing this. Also, I will use the same method for running an image via SDXL and Refiner. Here, we should connect the first sampler latent image output to the second sampler latent image input. I made a mistake here. In the first sampler, the return with leftover noise should be enabled and not disabled. We want the empty, noisy latent image to pass through the first sampler, then pass on that image to the second sampler, and then fully denoise it. I do this correctly in the next workflow. The second prompt, in light blue, should be connected to a separate VAE decode node, and the second case sampler should also be connected to the same VAE node. Now, I am just selecting the nodes to show you how the workflow will flow once you queue prompt. Let me zoom in and show you the point of using two samplers here. You can use as many as you want, but let's start with just two. What I am doing here is changing the starting step and end step for the samplers. So, sampler 1 will end at 50 steps, and sampler 2 will start at 50 and end at 100. I recommend keeping the same sampler name here, but you can change the scheduler to get some excellent results. The other thing you can do is use the different checkpoints. You can mix and match two checkpoints and create some interesting results. Keep the ended step at 10,000 and be careful here. Playing with the steps might produce bizarre results, so experiment with it. You can also change the prompts using the same checkpoint. So you can make one prompt up to a certain step and then use a different prompt from that step till the end steps you set. These are some examples of how you can play around with two samplers, mixing prompts, and mixing checkpoints. However, the best way to go about it is by using the same checkpoint model and different prompts. And you can weigh in on each prompt by defining the steps. After playing around, once you get the desired image from the second sampler, you can add a Save Image node along with the Preview Image node to the second sampler VAE image output. Then run the prompt once more. This time, it will save the image you want in the output folder inside the main ComfyUI folder. Let's proceed to the SDXL and SDXL Refiner workflow, as that's quite different. For the SDXL and Refiner, there are some differences. I will fast forward most of the video as I have covered the workflow in the previous segment. However, whenever there is something new, I will pause and explain. Create two checkpoint nodes, load one with SDXL and the other with the SDXL Refiner. The prompt input for SDXL is different. The best way to go about it is to double left click and search SDXL and add the other two clip text encode nodes. For the SDXL prompt node, you can see a clip G and clip L text input. What we want to do here is right click and convert the text G and L to input. Then, drag text G and create a new node under Utilities, Primitive. In the positive prompt node we created, the string output should also be connected to text L. Now, duplicate this and change the values from 1024 to 4096. Do the same procedure as before. This will be our negative prompt. Now connect the SDXL clip to the SDXL positive and negative nodes. In the same way, add the SDXL Refiner clip text encode. You will notice here that it's a bit different. The AS score here is the aesthetics weight for the Refiner prompt. For the positive prompt, I am leaving it at 6 and the negative prompt at 4. Just play around with these, as it will give different results. Here also, you should convert text to input. Then, link the positive prompt string to the text input in the Refiner node. Connect the refiner clip to the positive and negative text encode nodes. Now, I am adding 2 case samplers, one for the refiner and one for the base. I am nesting the nodes to simplify the workflow and make the workflow a bit neater. For the latent image, we can change the resolution to 1024. As I did previously, add 2 separate VAE decoder nodes, one for the base and the other for the refiner. Then, connect the latent output from the first case sampler to the latent image input on the second case sampler. adding negative and positive prompts. Let's do a fast test. You can see the refined image is a bit overdone. So I will play around a little until the preview is perfect, then add the Save Image node. Let's settle on these images. I will now add an upscaler called 4x Ultra Sharp. And lastly, add the preview and save image nodes for it. The upscaler must be connected to the second VAE decode node. Now, let's run the prompt and check out the images. The first image is the base, the second is refined, and the third is upscaled. So this is a simple workflow that you can do with ComfyUI. I did some further experimenting with this, and what I did was for the first checkpoint, I used a custom model and then refined it via the SDXL refiner, which worked well. So, to conclude, I know this video was long, but I covered the basics along with 2 workflows. ComfyUI is highly flexible. You can use multiple checkpoints via multiple samplers or a single checkpoint via multiple prompts and samplers. The combination is endless. I will make many more videos and workflows regarding ComfyUI. In the coming weeks, I will cover workflows like how to upscale any image using ComfyUI, using Civit AI workflows, and most importantly, a complete tutorial on ControlNet for ComfyUI. Comparing Comfy to Automatic 1111, honestly, I like it, but I would not replace it. There are some things which are better and more flexible here. But there are some other things for which I prefer to do in Automatic 1111. It basically boils down to your workflow, and for me, using both is essential. Thank you for watching, and I hope the tutorial was simple and easy to understand. Until next time.